Hey, this is Brian.
And Shelby.
And you're listening to the Hyperspace
PodBlast. Aren't you a little short for a podcast?
Huh?
Snook!
All right. Welcome, friends, to Hyperspace PodBlast number 9. What's in store for Star Wars television? Wanna know what is up? What are we gonna do? OMG. So yeah, at Celebration, we found out that sad face Rebels is gonna be over after season 4. A lot of people seem to be surprised by this. I, for one, kind of expected it, honestly. And I'm glad, not necessarily glad that it's over, but glad that they're doing series that have an actual arc and aren't just gonna go off into oblivion and run out of ideas, but just keep going forever because, you know, people are still watching. We're gonna keep making.
Yeah, you don't want anyone to jump the shark with Rebels.
Yeah, even though, I don't know, I could think of a couple sharks they've jumped, or, you know, space whales.
Space whale. Be careful, Brian. You're treading on
I know, Rebels
thin ice.
Held dear to a lot of people. Thou shalt not diss Rebels. But anyway, no, I like Rebels, and I think it's a good show. But I do think that having an end in sight and being able, like Filoni said, being able to end the show on his terms rather than with Clone Wars, it just kind of fizzled. I mean, there were extenuating circumstances there, and it is what it is. But I hope going forward, all Star Wars serial things have a planned arc. And I mean, if you think about it, Star Wars, even though it was movies, has always been based on the concept of serials. Like, you know, we started with episode 4, 5, 6, we came back 1, 2, 3, now we're 7, 8, 9. The whole idea has always been that it's parts of a whole. So to not do that with the TV series, I think would be silly. Like, nobody wants Star Wars The Simpsons that just carries on ad nauseum. I don't think, anyway.
Fair enough.
Maybe
yeah.
They do.
I mean, so what do you think's going to happen after Rebels?
This is tricky. Because there are so many things they can do, I guess, but can't really do yet, if that makes sense. I think, honestly, they're holding off on anything to do really past what they've already kind of dipped their toe into with Aftermath and things like that. We're scratching the end, like, right after Return of the Jedi, basically. Like, maybe a year or two past that, and then we got nothing for that big 28-ish year period before The Force Awakens. But I think the reason we don't have anything is because Episode 8 isn't out yet. Episode 9 isn't out yet. And they don't exactly have planned out what's going to happen in those movies yet. I think they have a broad story idea, but if you take what Rian Johnson has said on his Twitter account into consideration, he is basically saying he's had a lot of creative freedom. So if he has that much freedom, obviously they can't make things up that would interrupt that freedom, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of see is what's going to happen is we're going to finish episode 9 and then everything's going to get filled in between.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
completely.
that's going to that has to happen first, and everything else that comes out between now and episode 9 finishing is going to be
Don't say filler.
I'm not going to say filler. It's just going to be in the same era that we're seeing everything right now.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're right.
Which, I mean, is a little disappointing to a lot of people, I think, because it's like just a lot in the same timeline. But, I mean, I guess no one really expected Rogue One to be the hit that it was, so... Yeah,
and that was an interesting thing because it was honestly a story that had already been told a couple times, basically, if you look back into the Legends content, but it was done, and it was done really well. I think if we get anything, we'll actually probably get maybe something between when Rebels ends and where Rogue One is, or actually maybe even something right after Revenge of the Sith. Like maybe we'll follow another Kanan-like character, a surviving Jedi, and see maybe a different path that such a person takes rather than Kanan sort of lost his way, so to speak, became kind of like a drifter, and then came back to the light. I don't know if you want to call it that, but we might get something similar but different. I really wish they would touch on the Old Republic, but I think that is kind of in the same realm with the sequel trilogy, because I think they're reaching back, like especially with what we've seen with the Last Jedi trailer, you know, that book and whatever. They're kind of mixing the old into the new, so they don't want to mess with the old yet until they've fleshed it out with the new stuff. So yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be stuck between that prequel and Rebellion era until 9 is finished. So
I think, and I mean, maybe this is just what I want to see, so that makes it true.
Yes.
I think we're going to see after Rebels an animation that's more geared towards adults.
Yeah, I actually think so too. Especially when they've come out with, you know, they have Freemaker Adventures, which, you know, it's not canon, but whatever. It's a kids Star Wars show. And they're coming out with Forces of Destiny, which is obviously geared toward, I mean, really young female viewers, but young viewers in general.
It should be to all young viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think so too, but I think you can argue that it's skewed toward picking up that specific demographic from a business perspective.
Yes.
But anyway, Jedi.
You always have to stick your lip out when you do that too.
You have to, yeah.
It's
say
impossible.
It without, yeah. Anyway, yeah. As far as want to see, I would actually like to see something more like an anime, because
I know you want to see some magical girl anime. Star Wars.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be Ahsoka as a werewolf with a magical girl transformation from Togruta to werewolf. Yeah, perfect.
With great music and like
a very long, like a 5-minute sequence every episode.
Yes.
That happens
and
without
she says
fail.
something beforehand that makes no sense.
Yeah, and she'd say it in a different language since they usually say their magical transformation in English for whatever reason.
Yes, that's what would happen.
It would be in like
with a weird
Huddies.
Like artsy background as she does it.
Yeah, with like wolves in a circle. And
yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. Just so you know.
And butterflies. Yeah. I think we got way off the rails there.
Sorry.
It's all good. But back to anime. I mean, I don't know if you don't watch anime, you think it's dumb or whatever. I guess you can
tune out for a couple minutes.
Yeah, but as far as I really like the animation style of anime, and we know Dave Filoni is a big fan of anime. He draws on things, especially, you know, Princess Mononoke. He's made no qualms about saying so, but I think he would be someone that would
be able to do it well.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, it wouldn't be like cultural appropriation or anything like that. He would just be taking the style and applying it. And, you know, they've done things like that before, so I think it could be awesome. But the thing that I would like most about it is just the way that their animation is more grown up. It's more like young adult, if that makes any sense, rather than, you know, a kid's show type of thing.
Right. Well, here's the thing too. Like, there's different styles within anime that is more.
Well, true.
The art style is more towards kid. Like, you can tell when you watch an anime if it's a kid's anime or if it's an adult anime.
Right. Like, you know, Pokemon versus Tokyo Ghoul. Whoa.
Oh,
we
wow.
didn't even plan that. Creepy.
But I would like that style, like Tokyo Ghoul, Future Diary-esque.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. Maybe once again, it's just because I like anime.
Yeah.
But,
well, yeah. No, this is completely self-indulgent.
But I think it would apply very well. I think it would work. And I think it would work well.
Yeah. It translates. Well, anime is very character/story driven, which is Star Wars in a nutshell, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it lends itself to having that arc pre-thought out. You know what I mean? There's very few anime that go on forever, and most of the ones that do are kind of bad, or at least get kind of bad. Like Bleach, for example. The first season of Bleach is fantastic, but it eventually
Dragon Ball Z.
I just can't like that one. I don't know why.
I hope I think
it's because I'm the wrong age.
Yeah, I used to like it when I was young.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I think that you could do some really awesome stuff with it, and you can also do some really fun stuff with it too. I mean,
Well, yeah,
you can have something
exactly.
super serious and super adult, or you could have something like set it in any era of Jedi Academy that you like the most, and have some characters in there and do it up that way, because there's so many ways you could go with that.
Well, yeah, you could have so many different personalities with something like that. You know what I mean? And how cool, since Hamill already has mad chops at voice acting, you could do it with his academy and just have him be Luke voice wise.
Yeah,
You know? Oh, dude, that would be rad.
that would be rad.
We should do that. I don't know why I said we. 'Cause we can't. They should do that.
And I think you could do even go back, because I think sometimes you have those like animes that they take you back to a historical time, and you could go prequels and do like the beginning.
Yeah, like deep dive into way back, like
old the beginning
Republic.
of the Jedi.
Yeah, it could be something like, we mentioned Tokyo Ghoul before, and if you're familiar with that, he's the main character is someone that sort of plays both sides, so to speak. And you could have something where there was a character like that was, maybe he was the original balance point. Maybe he's the original chosen one. And you have this group of people calling themselves the Jedi and this group of people calling themselves the Sith, both courting him. And, he's trying to choose what to do, and you see how both sides develop. I don't know. It'd be interesting because that's probably the era that we know the least about pre the Disney takeover. It had the most free reign because who knows how far back you can even go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Back to before hyperspace. Like, you could have a show that centers on a planet and there's no such thing as space travel for that planet. And then all of a sudden, these strange dudes from outer space show up, and they're like, yo, you want to join the Republic? And these people are like, what's going on?
Yeah, that'd be super cool. And honestly, we talk about this with anime, but you could do this live action, and it would be totally cool.
Yeah, that was going to be the next step in progression here is, what do you think? I think it's inevitable that Star Wars will move to the live action television genre.
Yeah, I think it would be strange not to. And
Yeah,
I
really.
don't think, and I honestly don't think we're gonna see that until after Episode 9 again.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's probably going to be something that centers on events after Episode 9. I think that's how they're going to carry the story forward. I don't think we're going to go backward after 9, unless they do have some sort of back pocket idea of doing 10, 11, 12. And in that case, that would be the perfect opportunity to dip into some Old Republic and have a live action. And I think that, like we've mentioned, just lends itself to television perfectly, because there's so much you can do. It's not like Rebels, for example, which had to have an endpoint. Like, it was absolutely going to have to come to some kind of climax, because it's going to butt into, and sure, the Old Republic would have to do the same thing, but depending on where you put it, you could have centuries. And not that I want it to go on that long, but I wanted to have more at stake. You know what I mean? Because Rebels could only do so much.
Right, they couldn't bring up some immensely huge storyline.
Yeah, because if you go back far enough, you could make up whatever you want, and by the time we get to the prequels, it's ancient history.
It's been forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's basically legends, legends in canon. Ooh.
Now you're gonna make everyone hate us.
No, there'll be enthused or something. Wouldn't that be weird if they decided to do some kind of like multiverse thing?
A teensy verse?
Yes.
Microverse?
Dumb. But anyway, yeah, if they did some kind of, through the show, they went into some portal into the future, and it was like Legends.
Whoa,
future.
I think you're just.
Whoa,
this is just too much for me right
yeah,
now.
It's bad.
It's getting out there.
It's dumb.
All right, moving on.
I win then.
So,
silly direction.
but with thinking about some of these hypothetical shows, what's the best way to deliver them? We actually were, I'm starting Rebels from the beginning now. Which is, I mean, it's interesting to do knowing that it's ending.
Yeah, it's basically like binge style, except that we didn't buy it because if you want to get it from Amazon Digital, it's like $70.
Yeah, for all the way up through the end of season 2. We have season 3 recorded.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to give you a heads up, if you were to buy everything through Amazon Digital, it's going to cost you around $70, probably once you throw in season 3.
Yeah, when it
comes out, it'll be over $100.
Exactly. And then the DVDs, season 1's $20, but you have to order it because no one has it in stock anymore. And season 2 is, I think, between $25 and $30.
Yeah. So I mean, it's expensive.
It's not cheap.
Also, shout out.
Yeah, to Kay Ren, who I just realized is Kylo Ren, I guess, as her name on Twitter. Like, I've been reading this forever and I didn't put together because I'm dumb. But Mizzou at heart, Mizzou as in Missouri, came up with the idea of renting them from the library.
Which we checked it out and is absolutely possible. So we're going to be getting our library cards soon.
Yeah.
And I just had never thought about renting DVDs of like television series at the library, but it's totally a thing to do.
Yeah, it's bad of me, but I think of libraries as dusty old places where no one goes anymore.
Wow.
I know, right?
Poor libraries.
I know.
But if you're, because I understand like with books, you may want to own the book or whatever. It's a great way to, read the books if you don't want to drop a bunch of cash on it, but I never thought about as far as, most people don't have any specific connection to owning the digital medium anymore. I feel like that.
As far as a show goes, I mean.
Yeah, a television show versus a movie.
Yeah, I'm really annoyed they're not on Netflix, honestly.
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of how I feel like any of these shows should be. They should either be on Netflix or Hulu.
Yeah, because there's a lot of Disney IP on Hulu, so it wouldn't surprise me if they decide to make that jump. It would surprise me a little though because of the original content they have now, the Marvel stuff that's all on Netflix. It would be strange to split it up.
Yeah, how would you feel about it being on Netflix and it all just dumps at one time?
I mean, I'm getting used to it. I'm not much of a binge person. I can't do the same thing over and over. I would watch it in the course of a couple of days, but...
Yeah, you'd have to be able to, like, not get spoiled.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the bummer thing, would be that everyone would be taking it in. What if they did it on Netflix, but they actually did it serially? Like, I mean, I don't see why Netflix wouldn't do that.
I guess not.
I guess, I don't know. There's
it's just not their thing. Even if it isn't something owned by Netflix, they wait till it's off the air and then it gets all dumped onto Netflix. So, I mean...
Well, I understand that if it's already run its course.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably what I'd like to see most, either Netflix or Hulu. And it makes sense that it would be on Hulu, honestly, in my opinion, more than Netflix. But, I mean, other premium stuff like HBO Go and Stars and stuff like that would make sense.
Yeah, I could see the live action being on something like Stars. I say Stars because they have that deal with the IP already, but I don't know how all those things are written. Who knows? They could just be throwing the love around. But something like that would be pretty fantastic. Or even on like AMC, because they make some fine television.
How much do you think that Disney's just going to do their own thing, though?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. Because I think they have their own streaming service, don't they?
I think so.
I don't really know.
And if not, I mean, I can imagine them doing like, here's the Star Wars package.
Yeah, the Star Wars streaming service. Yeah.
Which will now include Celebration stuff, and you have to pay for it.
Oh, the premium.
Mm-hmm.
You get 3 panels for free. Everything on the pay.
Which honestly, I would.
Yeah. I think San Diego Comic-Con does something like that.
Oh, I didn't know
Don't
that.
they have some kind of?
I don't know.
Streaming something, I think.
I don't know, but I think covering it through Hulu or Netflix would be the most preferable.
Mm-hmm. What about the next animated series? Do you think it'll just rock up right on XD, or do you think they're gonna switch that around? I hope so.
I hope so. I hope they switch it.
A lot of the other stuff on Disney XD is terrible. Except Gravity Falls. That show's amazing.
Oh, that was a great show. Which also, I would love that kind of animation style.
Yeah. Really, we just wanted to go away from the style they've been doing since Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, getting old.
Something new is needed. So, do you think that Star Wars could push the envelope with CG animation.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of something new, having an entire show that's basically like the trailer for Battlefront or the trailers for Knights of the Old Republic, which, everyone wants, well, not everyone, but they made that big deal about Knights of the Old Republic on Netflix, and I think something like that would be fantastic.
It'd be extremely well received.
I can't see why not. Yeah, it would be basically, in the Star Wars way of doing things, it would be making something fresh and new, kind of like, people bag on the prequels, but how ahead of their time were the prequels when they made them?
Yeah.
It would be the same sort of thing.
I think that they could put forth the effort and the time and take that risk just because it is Star Wars. Any other show, they're battling with both that style of animation that they would be putting out there.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a lot more expensive and a lot more time consuming and stuff, but you're right. If
they wouldn't have to worry about the storyline being a hit.
Yeah, true. You have a...
And it doesn't even have to be that good. It's Star Wars, so everyone's gonna...
Oh, burn.
Everyone's gonna watch it.
It would be an interesting thing to do, almost like... I don't know what you call it, but the American Horror Story style, where each
anthology?
season, is that what they call them?
I think.
Where each season is different. Then, because you could do the CG, cool. And you have one season, and then it wouldn't be quite as jarring to take, the extra time it would take to make the next season, because it's not going to be a continuation. It's going to be something new anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I'd not actually thought about that until right now.
You're so smart.
Doing it live, so to speak. Recorded liveness.
So yeah, that's about it. That's what we kind of see in the future for Star Wars television, or hope to see.
Yeah, television. Do we still call it television even if it's on Netflix?
I think.
I wonder how... It would be interesting to see a study of how much Netflix is actually consumed on a television versus a laptop, tablet, phone. Someone figure that out and tell me.
So, if there's anything you want to hear on the podcast, let us know at Hyperspace_pod at Twitter.
Or Hyperspace PodBlast at gmail.com. And now a word from our sponsors. Hey, have you ever thought to yourself, I'd like to talk about Star Wars and something else I like?
Well, now you can. Our new Blastcast, Rapid Fire Fandom Fridays, gives you a platform to discuss Star Wars and whatever distracts you from Star Wars that you probably moderately enjoy. Things like Rick and Morty, hockey, romance novels, or even building dioramas using smartly dressed dead mice.
The interviews are around 5 minutes and include questions like, if you could take one person from blank and put them in a Star Wars film show, who would it be and where would you put them?
If you are now saying, wow, this sounds like the answer to all my hopes and dreams, send us a DM on Twitter today to @hyperspace_pod or an email to hyperspacepodblast@gmail.com.
We look forward to hearing from you! Yeah, and get on Twitter and tell me my voice is pretty.
Yeah, do that.
Do not do that.
All right, thanks guys.
Yeah, peace. Snoop!
Snoop!